Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Doctor Who Big Finish fans. This time, we're not doing a throwback one. We are doing some of the recent releases. We're going to back to Earth and visiting some water worlds. So I'm joined once again with Luke.
Yes, hello everyone. It's been a minute since we last did some recent releases, hasn't it? I suppose
Yeah,
it's still a throwback in a way. It's a throwback to a couple of weeks ago.
yeah. What was the? I guess the April roundup was like the last time we did some recent releases
Yeah, I
in a
think
way.
so. Yeah, we've sort of done a bit of a detour since then with novel adaptations and 10th Doctor Volume 3. So check those out if you haven't already, if you want to hear our thoughts on some older releases from the Big Finish catalogue.
Yeah, and it's a good way of us getting our money's worth of those releases as well.
Yeah, it's nice going back to re-listen to things every once in a while. But it's also really nice getting new releases, like the shiny
Mhm.
goodies for us to tuck into for the first time and then share our thoughts on them.
This is the joys of Big Finish fans, really.
Yeah.
So I guess while we wait for a few people to join, what we've been up to, what we've been doing since I last spoke to you last night, but it's been a week since we actually streamed.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we recorded something quite exciting yesterday, didn't we? The first of a project that we've been dreaming up for quite a while, I suppose, but we won't go into that too much. That'll be a
We
nice
can
surprise
tease.
for later. Yeah, we
We can tease.
we can tease and hope people care about what we're teasing about. Hope that
Yeah.
you're all intrigued, perhaps. But yeah, other than that, not really too much. It's been half term, so I've been off work for a week, just chilling, really, catching up
Banter all
on
week.
some Big Finish. How about yourself?
Probably down the Star Wars rabbit hole. I know this is a
Ah,
Doctor Who stream, but this is a little bit where we can indulge in other things.
hmm,
I guess with Kenobi and the Star Wars celebration, it's kind of hard not to get down that rabbit hole. So it's been nice to have a little bit of a break from Doctor Who. Still experiencing Doctor Who, like some of the Big Finish stories we're going to talk about tonight, and our secret project. So there's still
hmm.
a bit of Doctor Who there to balance it out.
Yeah, there certainly has been a lot of Star Wars in the last week, though. Like about
Oh yeah,
quite a few different trailers coming out from Celebration.
yeah, and all the shows, the merchandise, Kenobi itself.
Mm,
Star Wars fans in for a treat really over the next couple of years.
yeah. It's funny how Doctor Who doesn't have like its own centralized convention. Obviously, there's a lot of conventions exclusive to Doctor Who,
Mm,
and there's quite a few where it's heavily involved as well, just like general sci-fi ones. But yeah, like it doesn't. There's not like anything officially done by I suppose maybe because it's not within the BBC's remit, is it?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why they don't.
I
Whereas
mean,
Lucasfilm can afford to
we
splash out
had
stuff like that.
we had like the 50th anniversary celebration, which
Mm.
sells itself, doesn't it? And I think 2015 you had like the Doctor Who Festival, which feels quite bizarre because like
Yeah.
it was sort of series
2014, they
9.
had that whole world tour, didn't they?
Yeah, to celebrate the launch of Capaldi.
Yeah.
We don't seem to get that now. I guess San Diego Comic Con's the big event, but
Mm.
I wouldn't say Doctor Who's had much of a presence there. I guess since Jodie first started, really. But
Yeah.
maybe with Russell coming along, he's just a publicity machine. He's just constantly dropping stuff. So I'm sure we'll have some big things.
Yeah.
Um,
You can already see like when the new media team takes over stuff, it instantly feels that much more alive and like more on the pulse of things.
I feel like they're more aware of what's going on in the fan circle because they're on social media. They can see the reaction.
Mm.
Whereas I think, I say fair play to like Chibnall, everyone's sort of staying away from the social media side because, social media can be quite toxic.
Yeah,
Um,
that's very true.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I think I
thank
don't really hold it against Chibnall for not wanting to engage in that. But I think it's definitely a strength of Russell. He's very much a showman and sort of like
Mhm.
this proper ambassador for the show, and that can only be a good thing in this time.
He just knows how to play the right notes for fans, really, I think.
Yeah. I think he also knows what it's okay to give away.
Mm.
Eh, Like there's so much secrecy for the past 5 years over stuff that doesn't really matter. Like there was that whole Easter egg hunt thing, wasn't there, to find the Doctor, which led to just a promo picture of Jodie and then a couple of weird screenshots of what ended up being the earlier version of Swarm.
Yeah, the old Swarm, yeah.
Yeah. And so when you think, you know, there's a good idea behind that with Find the Doctor, but when that's the reward for it, it's not really worth the effort, I suppose.
Yeah, and people cracked it early because I think it was meant to go on for like another 2 weeks as well. So
Yeah. But
that's
then, like,
great.
if you've got people, like, there was people complaining it was being cracked early, but like, surely that's the fun of it. That's like the detective work. And it also feels weird to lay this trail one thing at a time because you'd have people work it out and then that'd be it for a week. And then they'd have to go back and look for the next clue. And so, you know, you sort of need the momentum more there with it.
Yeah, and I guess you had like the whole social media disappearing 2 days after the launch of like the season 17 trailer. So that was kind of annoying that you couldn't revisit that trailer.
Yeah, that like completely ruined a lot of other plans, like other collaborators with the main Doctor Who channel and such.
I don't know if they won. I know they're up for like a social media award. I don't know if they won it
Yeah,
for it.
I'm not sure how that's gone.
But I guess it makes sense to the grand scheme that the Flux took over and destroyed social media Doctor Who.
Yeah, I mean that's the explanation they gave for it, but it was never really that obvious in what they did.
Yeah.
And also, you know, when they brought it back, they said, "Oh, we brought it back with a brand new look and everything." But no, they didn't. It just came back same as normal for a couple of hours. Then the new look, and I think the trailer dropped around the same time, didn't it? So it was
Yeah, it was
like a
about like
whole
half an
slot.
hour in between, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the logo would change each week to represent like the TARDIS being taken over by.
I liked that, to be
Yeah, that was
honest. I
cool. I
like
liked
what they're
that.
doing with the logo. And now, well, I don't think it's now, but like for Legend of the Sea Devils, they had it be like a compass for a while, didn't they? They switched it up quite a few times there.
I wonder what they'll do for the centenary special.
Yeah, you imagine they've got to have one last hurrah planned with that logo.
So yeah, and then that's going to be interesting. What happens with like the collection box sets? Does that become like just the heritage logo now for it, or
Yeah,
will
I
it
mean,
be?
I suppose it depends. Might even keep the logo if we're lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Russell's savvy. He knows what would keep fans happy. Hopefully the logo stays because I've grown to like the Whittaker logo.
No, I don't even associate it as the Whittaker logo, to be honest, which
It's
is
just
weird.
the Doctor Who logo now, isn't it? Really, because it's on everything.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
that
pretty
brand
much.
consistency now.
Yeah. Hello, Pain Cyberman in the chat there. What's up? What's up with
Hello,
you?
what is up? Yeah, we're here for another Friday, another stream, more Big Finish. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, in our regular slot, aren't we? Yeah,
Absolutely.
we've been pretty consistent recently, I think. We like, had 1 week off a while.
Yeah.
That's about it. We're going strong since maybe end of March.
Yeah, and then hopefully when we get to July, we can do like a year celebration of going, well done us. We've done a year.
Yeah, because Big Finish fans itself has been around for quite a long while, but that's all like our proper start of this era of streams, I suppose.
The revival of the revival of Big Finish fans.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, it's been through a few iterations at this point.
Yeah, because like 2015 it started, then 2016 it stopped, then 2018 for one night only we came back, and then 2020 we kind of there, and then 2021 here we are.
Yeah, that's when we properly really got into it again, found our groove, found what worked for us, I suppose. But, and Pain Cyberman says, I mean, it helps when we had a majority of the merchandise had the Whittaker logo for like 4 years. Yeah, it's very. I mean, coming up to 4 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it was like June 2018, wasn't it, when it all switched over? Well, at least with Big Finish. You had what was it? Lure of the Nomads monthly range in May, with the old sidebar design and old logo, and then June Ironbright came along with the new one.
That felt like such an event, didn't it, when the sidebar went? 'Cause it was a staple of Big Finish for like 10 years, that cover art, really.
Yeah. We were also still on the old website back then.
I do miss that old website, I'll be honest.
Paint says, I still quite prefer the Pertwee/McGann logo. That will always be the de facto universal logo for Doctor Who. Yeah, I quite like that one, but I think this new one works better for covers, like with the square design of it. I think it does. Bring out.
I mean, what is your favourite logo? Just out of curiosity.
It probably would be Pertwee/McGann, really.
Yeah, good choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of amazing just to think how much merchandise we've accumulated with the Whittaker logo now, with like the collection box sets and magazines to Big Finish.
Yeah. I mean, the new logo works quite well on spines as well, because it is like quite long. It does fit there much better. Whereas the old logo, like, it was great when we had 4 CD case wide box sets, but then as it gradually shrunk a bit, it looked a bit awkward squeezed at the top there.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely I feel like it looks more stylish if it's like white. I quite like it with like the white font instead of the gold.
Yeah, I think that's certainly added to it as well. Going for white. Payne Cyberman says best logo is obviously the McCoy logo. Trevor Hicks replies, I didn't hate the McCoy logo. Yeah. I quite like the McCoy logo. I don't think it works so well for merchandise though, but I think it works well in the title sequence, especially the way like the word Doctor is written as the title sequence comes through, or like the flick of the pen, isn't it?
Yeah,
almost. I think that works very nicely in the title sequence. But yeah, like there's some stuff that works well in a title sequence, and then some stuff that works well on merchandise. Like I think the Troughton logo, I can't really see that fitting well on a piece of merchandise. It's a bit too spindly. It doesn't stand out enough.
Yeah, whereas the Hartnell one's quite bold and chunky, and you know what you're getting with that logo. I think even with like the Moffat era logo, I still have a soft spot for that logo because like you could see it straight away in a shop. You're like, that's Doctor Who.
Yeah, they went very big on branding in 2010, didn't they? Because it was like an actual logo, an emblem with the DW in like the TARDIS design.
Which I like. I'll be honest. I think the McCoy logo sort of works for like the Daypole stuff. It just feels kind, because I feel like the 80s aesthetic sort of come back round in like fashion. Everyone seems to be like all into like the 80s sort of fashion. So I feel like McCoy's logo has got a place now.
Yeah, same with like the Davison/Late Baker logo, and then like the Colin logo. That's just the same, but like a little bit different. It's got more of a curve to it. Yeah, I think I do prefer the Davison logo to the Colin one.
It works well on a mug because that was like the default logo they went for, like I think in like 2011 when they did like those retro mugs. And it works quite nicely, that the Peter Howell sort of logo. Sid Sutton.
Yeah, that's the one. Yesterday says, I don't mind Whittaker's logo, just wish it wasn't with absolutely everything. Yeah, well, I suppose that might change soon. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
I think it does work quite well as like an overall thing for Doctor Who, though. Like, whereas something like the McCoy logo, that does feel very specific to McCoy. It wouldn't look right on any other Doctor. Same
I wonder
with
if we'll
the Surfboard logo.
Yeah, that feels very Russell. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's interesting how they tried it with the Surfboard logo on like the figures with the classic series, and I think Clayton Hickman mocked up the DVD covers in the same vein of it.
Yeah, like they were thinking about it. The Invisible Enemy that had,
I think Black Orchid as well. I think.
Yeah, as like a mock-up, but
yeah,
That's right.
it's weird, really.
Hmm.
Thinking.
It's weird how Doctor Who is one of the few shows that really has that as well. Because something like Star Wars, for example, that logo is always the same. I mean, sometimes it's the I suppose landscape version or portrait version, if you know what I mean. Like either
Yeah,
the
yeah,
text next to each other or layered.
yeah.
But it's always pretty much that same logo, really. Now they sort after. I mean, there was one different logo, wasn't there? Like almost a more chunky logo on the A New Hope posters.
Hmm.
You know the one I'm talking.
Yeah, I
But
think so.
after that, it really stuck that is the Star Wars logo. Whereas Doctor Who is one of the few brands that really changes its logo every few years. Really,
I feel like
it doesn't have
it
anything.
has to, doesn't it, to give it that Doctor's identity,
But not
really.
But I don't know. I'm not sure if it necessarily needs that going forward.
So I noticed on like the clapperboard that there's a new logo on it. So is that the new logo? I don't know.
Yeah, but I think that is just the McGann logo, isn't it? The Percy
Yeah.
McGann logo, but long ways instead of stacked.
I mean, it's too good. It's too good.
Yeah, and that's it. Will we like have a special logo for the 60th year? Because sometimes.
Yeah, we have like the howler. I really like the McGann sort of Pertwee logo with like the howl around in it. I thought that was really
that was
quite
nice.
stylish.
That was just meant to be for 2013, and then Big Finish kept using it until like the end of 2014 when someone at the BBC said, "That's not our logo anymore. You messed up."
But they plan stuff way in advance, so yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is something right about that logo.
It is nice. I really like it. I mean, maybe that can be a future tier list, doing all the iterations of the logos.
Yeah, I mean, I think Well Mannered War, I'm pretty sure, was the first time we saw the solid logo rather than with the howl around in it.
I think the main range was quite late because I feel like it was the Widow's Assassin was the first one to have like the block silver.
Yeah, but that was physical though. On the website, it still is the old one because that's when they revealed it. Ben Miller says, we are going to say goodbye to the current Doctor Who logo and title sequence when the 13th Doctor regenerates. I'd imagine so. I wouldn't mind if we kept the logo. I think each Doctor does deserve their own title sequence though. I think especially when you're going into a 60th anniversary year as well. Payne Simon says the Widow's Assassin still had the howl around, I think. When it was originally like unveiled and put up digitally, it does have the howl around on it. But then by the time they sent out the physical copies, those physical copies do have the new logo on it.
I mean, I would check, but it's in the other room.
I know the first series of Early Adventures had a bit of a weird one because like the first, so Domain of Ford and Bounty of Ceres have the howl around. But then the second and fourth ones, Doctor's Tale and An Ordinary Life, both have the solid silver ones.
Domain of the Board's weird anyway because it's the only one to have like a blue spine.
Yeah, they didn't quite know what they wanted to do with it yet, did they?
Whereas like now, they kind of know what they're getting, whether you get like a multicolored spine or what, like the Eccleston ones or the Fourth Doctor's now got quite colourful spines instead of like the white ones you get from series 2 to, I think, pretty much, was it series 8?
No,
6? Series 6?
They switched back to like black ones when they got into the box sets. Yeah, series 7's just got black spines of the similar, basically same as the main range.
Okay.
Probably a better comparison would be novel adaptations, the Fourth Doctor ones. It's like that same image at the top, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, spines are a weird one. It's weird how they've got more colourful and more unique now that they're locked away behind a slipcase. Like you don't actually display many of them anymore.
Yeah, it's normally you go for like the actual spine of the box that you don't normally go for that way unless, you are like that. But I think it's a bit of a shame with all the effort they're going for with the spines now, not to use it, to be honest.
Yeah, it pops so much more now having those spines like that.
And I think when you put them all together, like you just think, why weren't we doing slip cases, a couple of years ago? Especially when you put the Annihilators next to all the other Third Doctor ones, you're like, damn, could have had
What
this
could have
earlier.
been,
Yeah, shame really.
Yeah. Especially now that they are making an effort to have the logo line up in the relaunch. It does seem to fit now, whereas when you look at other ones, the Doctor Who logo sort of bounces around a lot.
Yeah,
like in size and kind of placement as well.
but I think last year they definitely started to get it right.
Yeah, they really have. They found what they're going for, and they're mostly sticking with it.
And then they throw a Cyberman, and you're like, why are we doing this? And then it all makes sense when you get old friends, so it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll have Eccleston back with Back to Earth, because that's still not shipped out yet. I mean, like you showed off Waterworlds there, and that came out after Back to Earth.
Yeah. And normally, last year, despite everything going on in the world, we had Dalek Universe and the Eccleston stuff were guaranteed to arrive within a week. Like they must have just had them there ready to go. But yeah, they've been a bit slow with the Eccleston set.
Yeah, I suppose while we're talking about the Eccleston set, should we get going with Back to Earth?
Oh, what a segue. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, Series 2. We're finally getting a Series 2 with the 9th Doctor.
It feels bizarre, isn't it? But Eccleston agreed to do more after us, very much saying, we'll be happy with just those 12.
I think listening to the extras, part of the reason that helped seemed to be that now, because restrictions have lifted a lot, they can record them in person.
Okay.
And so Eccleston was quite happy to come into studio and actually meet the other actors and make a day of it, have the lunch, and so on.
Yeah, I mean that's the weird thing, like with the behind the scenes now, but you don't get like, oh, the lunches are fabulous. It's now the case of, oh, I'm recording this under a duvet.
Yeah, they sort of switched it up, haven't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems we're going back to that sort of style now with certain releases.
But yes, Back to Earth. We were in a good place when Old Friends ended. That was our favourite set of Series 1 of Eccleston. So when this came around, we were pretty excited to continue that sort of hype train for it. So
I don't know. I feel like we were maybe a bit more apprehensive.
Yeah, I guess because there wasn't much of a pulling factor.
Yeah, like I didn't dive into this set straight away. I think it took a couple of weeks before I opened this one up, which is bizarre when you think it's Eccleston. Surely that'd be something you jump on immediately.
Yeah.
But with this, I was sort of like, I'll get to it when I get to it.
Did you do Waterworlds first then?
Yes, I did actually.
Okay.
Yeah, for whatever reason, that just pulled me more towards it. Maybe like New Companion. That appeal to it. The stories interest me a bit more.
I guess maybe now with Eccleston, you kind of know the drift, how it's going to play out in a way. And I'm sure we'll talk about Into the Stars once we finish talking about this box set. But Station to Station by Robert Valentine. What do we make of this one?
Yeah, so we're on a spooky train platform, or train station.
Yeah,
I should say. And this is one of the things that was most exciting to me from the initial announcement of Series 2. Like they said, we're going to have a creepy story on at a train station. And it's this lovely idea of this train station, like, caught slightly outside of reality.
Yeah.
It's not here or there. It's like this stop in between stops. It's this relatable experience for a lot of us where we go on the train and we end up at one of the changes, and so you're stuck in the middle of nowhere. And when it's at night as well, with train stations, you've got the bright lights, and so it's just blackness beyond. It can be quite a unsettling, sort of weird experience when there's hardly anyone around. It's all quiet, and this really taps into that, and also taps into a lovely idea of people caught between decisions. They haven't decided which track they're going to go down in their lives yet. And so there's this creature which is feeding on that. What is it? Griminy Grew? I think.
Griminy Grew, yeah.
Yeah. This
with a creepy
shows off.
little nursery rhyme
Yeah.
as well to go with it. So it's very on brand and creepy.
Yeah, it's like they say this fairy tale villain, and when I first heard that they're not, oh, a Ninth Doctor fairy tale, your initial thought is like more of a kiddie fairy tale, but no, this is a very Bruller's grim, dark fairy tale villain. He's something quite terrifying, and just all that matched together makes for a very atmospheric listen for this one, and very on brand for the Ninth Doctor. It feels right for him, but it's also not something he's had before.
Yeah, I mean, there are elements to it, like the start with like the music. I thought it feels like a series opener in that sense. It feels a little bit riffing off Westminster Bridge in a way. Like you can imagine like the train pulling off and all that. Like you can just see like the BBC logo appearing at the start. Like for me, it just felt very 2005.
Yeah, it definitely has that vibe to it.
And I think this box set as a whole, though it's all centered around Earth, it's very much focusing on the humanity, because the Ninth Doctor is all about humanity, isn't it? And trying to find that compassion again and that love of life. And I think that Station to Station really encapsulates the best of humanity.
Yeah, it does. And it's very much like people finding each other, finding strength from each other.
Yeah.
Also, while having a bit of a creepy, almost Sapphire and Steel, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, the most iconic Sapphire and Steel story is probably the Assignment 2, the one that's set on a train station, funnily enough. But this isn't riffing off that in that sense. It's Sapphire and Steel in style, in the way that it's sort of like outside reality, but it's got more in common with probably Assignment 6, the last one, which is sort of like this. I think it's like a motorway station, like a service station that ends up being cut off from time outside of it. And so this sort of, it's not a copy of Sapphire and Steel, but it has those vibes to it if you're into that.
I mean, I think the characters are all well realized, like the companion, the sort of one-off companion within it, with her little dilemma.
Very interesting.
I just really connected to the post station master. Don't know why. I just really vibed with him. I just thought he was quite a wholesome guy, because they can't remember their names as well.
Nice as well.
They're just all quite memorable characters, really.
Yeah.
And I think with this, the Griminy Grew's sort of one of those sort of talky monsters, isn't he? Whereas the Ninth Doctor sort of doesn't like fun and games. He wants to go straight to the point. I think that it's quite nice, this very different monster clashing with a no-nonsense Doctor, really.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of verbal sparring, isn't there, between them?
Yeah, very much.
I think ultimately it's just the atmosphere that really carries this one through a lot of it. And then, but at the end of the day, it's also got a lot of heart to it too. And I think it's good to have a story with both of those things. So you've got the atmosphere to drag you in, and then you start to really engage with the characters and their dilemmas.
I just think it's a classic, to be honest. Because I remember saying to you, listen to it, it's great. You won't regret it.
It's definitely a very strong start to the series.
I mean, I can safely say it. This was my favourite of the set.
Same.
By far. I mean, I know a lot of people are praising Old Lang Syne as like, I think between, you're either a station to station person or you're an Old Lang Syne guy. And I feel like we're the station to station people.
Yeah.
And I think what made this story hit different for me, I was listening to it whilst on a train.
There you go.
So I felt fully immersed, and I was like, better not get off, because the Grimmy Grew will get me.
Yeah, it's definitely one to listen to later at night as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have a good old little story. Well, we've got something planned about sort of recommendations about different time of the year and events and in life.
Yeah, different
So
Big Finish for different occasions. That's
so maybe this will pop up on that list. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, this might not be the last you hear of us talking about this one. I imagine it won't be anyway, just because of the quality of it. It's definitely vying for that top spot of Ninth Doctor story overall, I would say. It's a very strong one. I think the only thing that's maybe letting it down for me a bit is the final turn at the end, the way the Griminy Gru is defeated.
Mm.
I think I like the idea behind it. It culminates in a very strong scene, but it's just there's like the way it's hard to say without spoiling it.
Yeah.
I think, do you know what I'm getting at there?
Yeah, I know where you're getting
Like
at. Yeah,
the
yeah.
actual solution to it, it feels a bit unearned. It feels like there wasn't any hints at that before. It's not something the audience can guess along with. It's
Mhm.
something that is just pulled out of the Ninth Doctor's ass, really. Or the Ninth Doctor's big head, I suppose. All that
Yeah.
knowledge in it. It's not something that the audience can follow along with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's certainly some interesting, some things you would never expect to hear in a Ninth Doctor story in that final confrontation.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. So yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 from me. Station to station, chef's kiss.
I'll agree. A 9 out of 10. I think I think Old Friends is the best box set, and I think this is just a perfect way of opening that set and saying here's round two of Eccleston. Really, like you've had that epic finale with Old Friends, and you've got this to sort of get it. It's sort of it
Much
has
more
that kitchen sink
focused, isn't
drama.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I think it's weird, but the two of my favorite like non sort of two-part Ecclestons are like Girl Deconstructed and Station to Station, which both feel very on brand for what Russell Who was back in 2005.
Mm. Yeah, that's definitely true. And you can definitely imagine it being very 2005. Like later, with a lot of the Tennant stories, they sort of had a bit more, there was a bit more money going into the show after that as well. Whereas this, you can very much imagine it shot in a similar way to Empty Child and Dr. Dances, where it really makes use of the darkness. Like some of that story is really pitch black, but it's wonderfully done. And I can see this having that same quality to it. And there's
Especially
also
like the tunnel with like the Griminy Gru hiding in it. I think that's really cool.
there's always something fascinating when you're young about those places, like not just at train stations, everywhere, like those little bits that are locked off. And I mean, even as an adult, you get that as well. Like there are people who go around old houses, aren't they, for the thrill of it?
Yeah.
Like, is it urban explorers?
Yeah,
they
yeah,
call them?
yeah.
Yeah, there is like that fascination of these locked away bits. And I like that this is also exploring that as well and sort of looking into it being outside reality, because the world itself feels a lot bigger when you're a kid. And just something about this story tapped into that for me, like with the setting of it. It just, yeah, blows my mind. Kudos to Rob Valentine. He's done a brilliant job with this one.
He's definitely one of the upcoming. Well, I say upcoming. He's been pretty much a regular for like 2 years now. But I think that this
I mean,
is.
he's scripted for quite a few things as well. He's sort of right at home in Big Finish.
I think this is probably my favorite script he's done so far. I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, I suppose we can't put it off any longer. Shall we talk about False Dimitri now?
Do we have to?
I mean, we could skip straight to All Lang Syne if you want, but
Yeah. The thing with False Dimitri is it's not bad, it's not good, it's just there.
it's very filler, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I think it's got a very interesting concept behind it in terms of what happened in history. Like the idea is you have this heir to the throne, this Tsar, who was killed when he was very young. And so then later on, you have like a pretender on the throne, so to speak, and about 3 different people claimed that they were the real Dimitri, that the Dimitri who was killed was actually, someone swapped out for him to save his life. And so now he's sort of grown up off in Poland or somewhere, and is now coming back to take
what is rightfully his.
Yeah, to become the Tsar of Russia. And so that is a brilliant piece of history, I think. And it's just a shame it's not really translated well. I don't think it translates well into a Ninth Doctor story. It feels something that would more work for a First Doctor historical, something that can really delve into it.
I was
And
thinking like
Sarah
Last of the
Graham-
Romanovs in a way.
Yeah.
Because that's a great historical. That's very much the last days of that, like Bizarres.
Yeah. Like there's the dynasty after this was the Romanovs. And so they sort of carried on, like we say, until the start of the 20th century. But yeah, with this, it does feel like an idea that would work better with the first, or maybe Fourth Doctor in a similar style, something like Mask of Mandragora. I could see this working. But here it just feels too quick with it all. I suppose. It doesn't feel like a rush story, but it just feels like it doesn't have time to really make an impact.
It felt very.
It wants to.
I don't remember the Ninth Doctor in it. I remember like the nurse character looking after, with Dimitri. But I'm struggling to remember it. Like it hasn't left much of an impression on me.
Yeah. Like you have a villain in there from Across the Stars, but they're not really that interesting of a villain. It's a cool robot design on the cover.
It looks very iRobot, which is very like early 2000s sci-fi.
But yeah, it fails to leave any sort of impact really. And it seems people are agreeing in the chat here. Paint Sideman says, I can barely remember anything from this story. He says, it's a story with characters and a setting. Trevor Hicks says, the false Dimitri suffers from following station to station. Yeah, I'd agree there as well. You go from a very high to quite a low. Also, halfway through listening to this, Into the Stars was announced. I was sort of like distracted there as well. Yeah, it's just... But even then, like, barring the stuff it has going against it outside, just viewed in isolation, I think it's still not got much going for it.
Do you think it's the worst Ninth Doctor audio so far? It's wrong to say worst, but you know what I mean.
Maybe actually. It's certainly between this and the hunting season.
It's the red cover ones, isn't it? It's any Ninth Doctor with a red cover, like, this is gonna be some.
Yeah, it's the well, red for danger, isn't it? Stay away from the reds.
Yeah, so skip it.
The cover artists are trying to tell us something.
It's not very good, Chief.
Hello, stylish person. False Dimitri is the lowest rated Ninth Doctor Adventures on timescales. I can't say I'm too surprised to hear that.
Yeah, I can't say I'm offended.
Yeah, I think hunting season has more going for it in that it's for a while it's working.
Yeah,
it's in the ending where it doesn't really come together for me.
I think it's quite interesting how the writer Sarah Grachella is or something.
Grahala,
like she did amazing work with the Holocrown. I think that's a great, like historical.
I believe she is a historian as well.
Yeah, you can tell that she's well versed in doing these historicals because she knows the time periods and all that sort of stuff. And then
the research is definitely done here. It's definitely well known.
Then you have like God of War, which sadly it doesn't utilize the historical element to it. And I wasn't a fan of that one. Then you get this one, I'm like, it's just not working for me.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe she is just more suited to full-parters, and maybe like the slower pace of 62, like with the Holocrown, where she can really dive in and explore that era a lot more, and really have it be like what Doctor Who was back then. It was meant to be an educational tool. I think that works perhaps better than something like this, which doesn't really have that.
Yeah,
It's there. It's more as set dressing than the actual story. And I think that's a shame, because the actual story of the false Dimitri, like in history, just feels far much more interesting than what's actually going on in this with a robot imposter instead.
It
Well, not
feels
quite
sort
robot
of
imposter, but yeah.
Androids of Tara in a way, if you know what I mean.
But worse.
Yeah, 'cause I quite like Androids of Tara.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Androids of Tara. But
What would you give False Dimitri?
maybe a 5. It's like
I'll
bang in the
agree.
middle, I think.
I'll agree. Yeah,
4 or 5, I think, around.
yeah, I'll go 5 because it's not bad. It's not great. It's just there.
Yeah, that's ultimately the thing with it, really. It just exists to fill this slot. It doesn't
Yeah,
have much going for it beyond that, sadly.
like I'd feel like if this was in series 1 of Eccleston stuff, I feel like I'd be a bit more. Oh well, because I guess we didn't know Eccleston would be doing a series 2, so I'd feel like it'd be a wasted slot. But because we've got another 3 box sets, I'm kind of a bit more easy on it. Maybe.
Yeah, because you can move on from it and just go to the next one.
Mm.
And I think because the rest of the box set is really solid, this doesn't drag it down too much.
Yeah.
Payne Cyberman says, now the hunting season slander will not be tolerated.
We're being hunted now.
Yeah. Stylus Personal says, although the second lowest rated Ninth Doctor venture on timescales is the Macbeth one, so that's something. Payne Cyberman replies, what happened in the Macbeth episode again? Payne Cyberman says, Stylus Person, says, no clue, Payne Cyberman. I haven't heard it, but Ben and especially Luke really liked it. Yeah, I did enjoy that one.
Was that your favourite from Lost Warriors?
It was at the time. Having gone back to Monster Metropolis, I do say that one's better now. But I think the Macbeth one is still like a good 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, that's more about sort of the myth of Macbeth, isn't it?
Yeah. Did you ever finish?
I did.
Lady Macbeth? Yeah, because I think you did half of it, didn't you? And then
yeah,
it took you a while to get back around to it.
It wasn't bad. I just sort of wanted to savor it.
I think you skipped right to the Cybermen as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
The Metropolis, you don't bother with. I mean, you started hunting season. It wasn't doing much for you. So you thought, I'm getting what I came in for. I'm getting what I bought this for, the Cybermen.
And it was my favourite of the set still.
Yeah. Payne Sab says, guess I got to re-listen to it. Guess I was a bit too excited for Monster Metropolis. Yeah, it does hurt sets sometimes when like the main drawing factor is the final story of the set.
Bond Farewell is another example I feel suffers because of Cybermen again.
I don't think that's too bad, because it is just one before the 2-part finale. But yeah, I suppose in the excitement for it on that first time, you are more listening to it to get out the way than to actually enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, at least with Back to Earth, there is every story is very much on a level playing field.
Yeah, that's like the good thing about not bringing back like a drawing factor, like a returning monster or character.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I suppose Old Lang Syne now, the final, or one of the set.
For me, I feel like this maybe suits 11 better than 9.
I suppose in that sort of vein of him being
the caretaker.
The caretaker, because he does have that similar role in Doctor Widow and the Wardrobe, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And also, as Trevor Hicks rightly points out in the chat, Old Lang Syne felt like a Moffat story with its use of time jumping. But I still feel like it works very well for the Ninth Doctor. Maybe it's because he's surrounded by fellow Northerners. Maybe that.
Yeah, I think the main person Eccleston spends time with, is it Mandy, I want to say?
Yeah, Mandy, that's it.
There were lines I was like, that sounds a bit like Jodie.
Maybe she does have that quality to her voice.
So maybe that's for Jodie Whittaker recast if Jodie doesn't join Big Finish straight away.
I think I saw someone else point that out actually on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it works fine with the Ninth Doctor, really. I think the story itself still suits him. And it does feel like if we ever got a New Year special with the Ninth Doctor, this would be it. In fact, I was thinking about this. This might be my favourite New Year's Doctor Who story. There's not been too many of them, but
Yeah.
I think this one is a very strong contender for that top spot.
Mm.
It's one of the few ones that actually makes use of it being New Year's Eve as well. Well,
I
New Year's
think
Eve
that
and
was
New Year's
clever.
Day.
That was a very clever way of linking it into the story, really. I thought that was really clever. And just a great visual of like the TARDIS with like lantern letting off fireworks. I thought that was quite stunning.
Yeah. It's quite a moving story because it's very much told from the point of view of Mandy herself. The Ninth Doctor's like jumping back and forth throughout it. And you're really following her life for a good couple of years. Like you're going from 1989 to 93, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you're getting a good chunk of these characters' lives there. And it does get quite moving after a while. You get really attached to them, I feel.
Yeah, because that was the thing. Because I know people saying get the tissues ready, and I wouldn't say I was moved to tears, but I felt something in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't. Yeah, maybe we're not soft enough.
Maybe we're just quite
hard
cold.
exteriors.
We're just cold and cynical at this point.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I think also in some ways we view these as pieces of media rather than as like stories to get invested in.
Yeah,
which is kind of a shame in a way because it's just. But I think like when we've been reviewing this stuff for so long and such, you sort of do get into that headspace of you view it from a bit of a distance.
you sort of you don't become, I was wrong to say desensitized, but I guess you do have that sort of, you constantly analyzing stuff because like
Yeah,
I study theatre. I went and saw a show like last week. You're kind of looking at it from a technical standpoint. Oh, they did it this way. Like you kind of ruin the magic for yourself because you're constantly in that headspace, really.
yeah. Same with me because I did screenwriting at university, and so I'm often in that headspace still. But yeah, I think it's not that we don't feel things. It's just it takes more to sort of drag us in, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
But I will say this did drag me in. It didn't drag me into the point of tears, but I felt something with it. It's quite a moving piece.
I think it's quite relatable as well because I feel like it draws on, at some point you're going to face that conversation or you'll experience a situation like it.
Yeah, they're all very human, very real characters. Tim Foley has done wonderfully there. And same with Station to Station. I'll probably say False Dimitri too, actually. The characters feel quite real in. I think maybe it's harder for us to appreciate that because it is historical.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, certainly with Old Lang Syne and Station to Station, where there's these more contemporary characters, you feel how real they are. They feel very well-rounded. You can imagine them having lives outside of this story.
Well, you get glimpses of it, don't you, throughout?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it really is separate because, like we say, it's told from Mandy's point of view, and so the Doctor occasionally pops in and out of her life, but we're experiencing quite a bit of her life when the Doctor's not around.
It almost feels Doctor-like, but it's not Doctor-like.
It's just because we're not seeing it from his perspective like we normally are.
Yeah.
I mean, some quite creepy scenes as well at times.
You have like the Lord and Lady, the house. Yeah, I think that there's something quite nice about it for how was his remembering all that sort of stuff. Yeah, there's some good dialogue about it, really.
Yeah, it's very good dialogue because you get to know the characters very quickly. Like within a couple of lines, you've got who they are.
You know the family dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's nice how it uses repetition in that as well. And that definitely hits you a bit harder when things change and you don't get that comfort blanket, I suppose, the way to put it. But yeah, because you're going from year to year here, you do get like this repeatedness of it, I suppose, repetition. Like you get to know the family through their traditions in a way.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause,
also
like,
good
this
how with just the 4 characters, they do create this feel of like this whole family gathering, and like the rest are just off doing other things like out in the grounds and such. You don't feel like there's people missing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Because even, like, the house itself feels like its own character within it. You know, so you've got this
Yeah,
nice
it
little
does.
bonus character within it.
Mm. Yeah, and it's also nice that there's nothing really malevolent about this one, is there? It is
Even
just
though
like an accident. It's the Doctor trying to do clear up, really.
the way the story twists it, it wants you to think that, oh, it's doing the haunted house, the creepy house. The
Mm.
way the way Bev talks about it, but it's something completely different, and the story doesn't suffer because of that. Because you've had your creepy story in Station to Station, so you don't feel cheated of that.
Yeah, that's right. You get like one creaky moment early on, but then because you're more invested in the characters anyway, it's not like too creepy otherwise than that.
Hmm.
So you don't feel like there's a sudden shift in it. You just feel like, oh, you had your one creepy moment, but now you're learning more about it. And I think because you're experiencing it from Mandy's point of view again, she wants to know what's going on. She wants to know who this strange man is. And we want to know what's going on with the house as well. And so we're invested with it from that point of view.
But the grand thing about that is we don't have to wait as long because she's got to wait a year to get the answers. And some years she doesn't get the answer she wants. She's got to
Yeah,
wait.
we just jump along as the as the year comes to a close, don't we? It is
Yeah.
all set just around these New Years, really. You have like mentions of things going on between the years. And you really do see how much Mandy changes in that time. She doesn't feel like the same character you started off the story with. But at the same time, you don't feel like you've lost her character. You feel like she's just grown and you've got to know her better.
I mean, she does get a nice ending. You know, she gets a
Mm.
little cheeky kiss with the Doctor. It's all good.
Yeah, and I think that's really great. That's something that Tim Foley, I think, seems to get with the new series Doctors, like with the Ninth Doctor, to have a bit more of that romance in it that Russell really injected into the show. That well, I suppose we got it in with the Eighth Doctor as well.
Another New Year's special.
Yeah, that's true. That does use the New Year as well, to be fair, and like the start of the whole millennium. So yeah, maybe I was a bit unfair. It's one of 2 stories that actually uses the New Year as part of its story.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's great to see the Doctor in that role again, because it's something Big Finish doesn't really tap into that often at all. Like maybe with the exception of River Song, but that's sort of already set up as a romance.
I think because it's they're dealt with the classic series Doctors where that wasn't part of their makeup in the show back then. Whereas they can add that to the mix with, you know, the new Doctors.
Yeah. It feels very true to Russell's vision
Mm-hmm.
of the show. And it also feels very true to how we saw the Doctor when we were younger in some ways as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he did get the girl from time to time. He was this more romantic figure.
Wow, Lind with a Y, yeah.
Mm.
It's all good.
I suppose, should we give it a rating now?
Yeah, let's do that, yeah.
I'd say an 8 out of 10.
I'll agree. I'll
Yeah,
agree.
there we go.
I'll agree. Wow.
Yeah, we've been on pretty
Same
even
page.
territory. Yeah.
Same page for this one, yeah.
I suppose 8 out of 10 for Back to Earth overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Station and Old Lang Syne really do make it worth picking up, even if you got False Dimitri sandwich in the middle there.
I do recommend it because, like you say, to belt of a story.
Yeah. I think worth it for Station to Station alone, really. You just happen to get Old Lang Syne as well.
In terms of like the Eccleston stuff, I think that this is maybe second or third for me. Don't know. I feel like I need to revisit Respond to All Calls to.
Yeah,
to
that's
properly
true.
place it. But yeah,
Yeah, it's another solid entry.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Payne Sideman says, fun fact, this is, I think, the second time that the Ninth Doctor was heard to be growing a beard, first time being Planet of the End. It's only a matter of time before we see Bearded Nine on a cover. I wouldn't mind seeing Ninth Doctor in a different outfit on a cover. Just like a special
Yeah,
look within the story somehow. Because we know he got changed in Monsters in Metropolis.
yeah.
So, yeah, surely that's something we can get at some point.
Should we continue our little Ninth Doctor foray and talk about his next installment? Which is Into the Stars. Ninth Doctor Adventure is still going strong, proving it again. Big Finish don't miss ever. I say it's definitely up. I feel like in terms of like the new series Doctors, they've got Eccleston right from the get go. Because one thing I'd like to do in the future is sort of looking at how Big Finish approached the different Doctors throughout the years and how their approach has changed. So maybe when the Joe Martin stuff drops, we'll discuss sort of the Doctor's first Big Finish stories, and we can look at Ravagers again and see how different it was, or how right they got it from the get go. Really,
I think things definitely have changed a bit since Ravagers. Yeah, here we have it, Into the Stars, and we got the Sontarans back.
I think when Eccleston was announced, I remember wanting a story with the Sontarans. I think that was on my little checklist, and we've got it.
Same here.
But not a Sontaran story what we expected, I think, as well.
Yeah. I think also because Chris Eccleston himself, he had that interview back in 2005 where he says the monsters he remembers most are the Sontarans, the potato heads.
Yeah.
And so it's nice for him now to almost meet his childhood monster in a way, I suppose. This is like the one he remembers most. And I think he even mentions that in a quote in the article. But yeah, like you say, it's not quite the usual Sontaran story, is it? They're not quite as much warriors in this one. They are instead farmers and artists and such.
It just reminds me of the one from Wicked Sisters.
Yeah, same. Moonrakers, isn't it?
Yeah, Moonrakers, yeah.
It feels like an idea that suits the Ninth Doctor. I'm just hoping it's different enough from that. Because it feels like, oh, we're taking this warrior race and we're flipping them. No one's ever thought of that before. But it has been thought of before, not that long ago, by the same company.
But I think more people have got to experience this one than Wicked Sisters.
Yeah, I imagine so. It's also going to be like more on its own, isn't it? It's not part of the arc. So,
well, I don't think this Wicked Sisters has an arc, but I don't think this series has an arc yet. But we know
no, it doesn't seem to. I think it's just a collection of tales with the Ninth Doctor out among the universe. Yeah, so and that's nice how it mirrors back to Earth, isn't it?
Yeah. So you make what we're gonna get in the next one, parallel universe. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, and like we said earlier about it's good to get the drawing factor out of the way first. The Sontaran story is the first one up by Timothy X. Attack.
It's quite nice if you look back at Planet of the End, again by the same writer. He referenced Sontarans in it, so I feel like maybe it's not.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a little foreshadowing or whatever. It's just me putting two and two together. But I feel like we said this with like Where the Buryman when like Eccleston mentions like the Crinoid, because the Ninth Doctor is so he doesn't reference the classic stuff.
No,
so
because it's series 1, they were trying to relaunch it then. Like when they knew it was a hit and they got a bit more comfortable with the 10th Doctor, and especially the 11th, that's when they really got more into the references. And I suppose Tennant being a fan as well, he maybe slips some of those in himself every once in a while.
Yeah. But I feel like with the Big Finish ones, they still feel earned. They have a place within the story what doesn't detract from what is actually going on.
Very true. Yeah. I mean, what do you make of the Sontaran design on the cover? Because at first I thought it was just the standard new series one, mainly because most of it's covered up by the gun. But
Yeah.
you look at it, it's a much more cobbled together, much darker. It is like more of a black. It's the new series head and hands, but yeah, it's a different look.
I think the cover
must
artist did like a Top Trumps or Battles in Time style, like full look at it. Which
Yeah,
was
I mean,
quite
maybe
nice.
that'll be on the individual cover.
I mean, hopefully. But I like it. I like it.
I wonder if it is like a standard military look for them, or it's just because like these are an offshoot of Sontarans, a more peaceful version. Is that why they're in this different look?
Just have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Then we have Last of the Zetterstein by James Kettle, which seems to suit James Kettle a bit more, hopefully, than Hunting Season did. We're going out in space this time. We've got like a casino, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems to involve some what's endangered species. Hopefully, something more along the lines of the story he did for River Song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say this is the one that interests me the least.
Yeah. I felt mean saying it, but yeah, I feel like the other two have got something a bit more going for it.
But maybe that can be the. I mean, it ends up being the sleeper hit of the set.
Yeah, maybe it's for Dark Horse.
Yeah.
Just run away with our hearts.
And finally, Break the Ice. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say that it seems to suit Eccleston's Doctor, doesn't it? That sort of lone sort of wolf trying to protect endangered, sort of the last of every kind, really. A bit like the Star
We
Whale.
had a bit of that in what's Fond Farewell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Break the Ice by Tim Foley, which is quite exciting as well. Tim Foley back again after Old Lang Syne, just the previous set. So he's got 3 Ninth Doctor stories as well. And like we say, he really does seem to get the Ninth Doctor, so I'm excited to see what he can do here. And yeah, so
with Jack Frost as well.
Yeah, it's nice having that sort of more mythical creature, but in this very different setting. It's a good bit of contrast there. I suppose hopefully it leans into the same style as the Griminy Gru had in Old and Back to Earth.
Yeah. And looks very sort of, again, Brothers Grimm look, really. Which I quite like.
Yeah, that's very true. He does look great on the cover there.
Almost looks a bit like a Game of Thrones type of like a White Walker.
Yeah, I can see that actually.
Yeah, I'm liking it. I think that this is a great bit of cover art. Great bit of cover art.
I wish it was a bit more zoomed in. I feel like we are viewing this in a weird crop.
Yeah.
Rather than it feels like we should be up a bit closer. But yeah, I mean that's nitpicking really. It's a bit about
never make a Doctor fan happy.
No, you never can. There's always something we'll complain about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's the next Ninth Doctor set, and
yeah,
only 2 months away.
They come around now. I think that's the thing. What helps with the Eccleston stuff, that they're just constantly churning out, so you don't feel like you're missing him.
Yeah, that's true. Like there's almost a cycle now, isn't there? Of you get your release, then reveal of the next set, trailers, individual covers, and then before you know it, that set is out, and you begin in the cycle again.
Yeah, which is nice. Because it's still strange thinking that Eccleston is very much a Big Finish regular now.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, we're getting quite a lot of him this year. More of him than some classic Doctors, I imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, more of him than Peter Davison, and it's his
40th year. Yeah, jeez.
He's getting screwed over a bit there.
Yeah, because like we say, 40 doesn't seem like it's part of the relaunch. It feels like a little bonus thing. But it is the Fifth Doctor's relaunch set, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're actually getting more Ninth Doctor than Fourth Doctor at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's a bizarre thought.
We're not getting more. He's not getting more than Colin. I think Colin's won this year by
Yeah,
a country mile.
this is the year of Colin.
Even more of me.
Oh, Payne Cyberman's come up with something interesting here. I wonder if the arc from this series is Grimbrella-esque monsters, like how the first series was Scotland or whatever it was. Yeah, they were a bit more loose with that, weren't they? That had the "don't let them come forth" thing. Yeah, I don't know whether that's in any other stories or not, or it is just like this arc with the two Cyberman stories. But yeah, I'd be interested if just a few trips to Scotland, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
I
I'm
came
down
up
for
with
that.
an interesting theory, didn't I? That I shared.
Yeah. Do you wanna say that?
Yeah, I think it's been long enough now that we can talk minor spoilers for the sets. But I think it's like the time eddies from Ravagers, isn't it? My theory was that a stray one of those is what the Cybermen in both Monster Metropolis and the finale went through. That's the time disturbance that their ship got caught up in. And so after that is why the TARDIS kept trying to get the Ninth Doctor to go to Scotland to go to the Fourth. And so he keeps ending up in Scotland a few times where he sort of like just missed the Fourth. Because the TARDIS knows that there's one last bit to clean up from Ravagers. But yeah, that's just a fun little thought.
I think it works so perfectly. Yeah, I dig it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's too late it's too late to confirm it now, though, sadly. But it's just a nice little headcanon.
Yeah, I think it works nicely for that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I would like something along the line of the Brothers Grimm element in the second series. I think that's a good thought, Payne Cyberman.
I think that's why I digged Ravenous too, because it was like it really digged into like the horror thematic. So yeah, I think I'm down for that.
I mean, yeah, the Brothers Grimm were even in Ravenous 3, weren't they? Actually,
yeah.
Probably the weakest
Legend was it?
That set, but yeah, it was Legend. Yeah. Yeah, Payne Cyberman says that's a pretty damn solid theory. Thank you very much.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I suppose. Shall we talk about Torchwood next?
I mean, I might be a bit cheeky because I've got to put the ducks to bed, so I might leave you to talk about Torchwood.
I'll go for it.
Because you've read about the synopsis, and I can't add much to it because it's Torchwood.
Yeah, I think you've pretty much decided you're not going to pick either of them up, haven't you?
Yeah, I feel like Torchwood for me at this point, like if there's a release that interests me, like Greymare, I'll pick it up. But at this current moment in time, I'm pretty much content with my little Torchwood collection I've got.
Fair enough. Yeah. See you in a couple of minutes.
I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Have fun.
Thank you. Yeah, so while Ben is away, we shall discuss Torchwood now. So we have restricted items archive entries 031 to 049 by Maddie Wilson. Both of these are by writers new to Big Finish in general, actually. And so it looks like Torchwood is becoming a testing ground for new writers, sort of throwing them in the deep end, so to speak, seeing if they sink or swim, I suppose. Because Torchwood Monthly range seems to be this place where ideas really can thrive a lot more. And there's a lot more freedom. You're not tied down by the basic formula of a Doctor Who story. You almost have these little... It's not right to say short films because, well, they're not that short for one thing, and they're not visual. But it's like that same style of creativity can thrive in these one-off episodes, which a lot of them are really, standalone character episodes. And Payne Sideman here saying, yes, Torchwood, the one range that I know has some fire but will refuse to buy. I think that's the same with Ben. And I think also it's just, we're Doctor Who fans first and foremost. Torchwood is sort of like on the periphery of that. And so when it comes to Big Finish, it costs a lot of money. And so we cut corners where we can. And Torchwood usually is one of the first things that we sacrifice. But yeah, with these two stories, we have Yanto back going through the Torchwood archives, looking at some interesting items. At first, when I saw this, I thought it was going to be similar to that story with the Companion Chronicle one. I think it's It's the one before Mastermind. I'm going to have a quick look. If anyone knows the one I'm talking about, please let me know. It's got the actors who were in TV movie in it. Let's have a quick scan. Where are the Companion Chronicles? There we go. Quick scroll down. I think it's Tales from the Vault. Let's have a double check before. Here we are. I found it. Captain Ruth Matheson and Officer Charlie Sato. So yeah, at first I thought it was going to be that style of story, where within this short story we'd also have several other short stories from Torchwood. But no, it looks more like Yanto's just down on his own, cataloguing, having some fun down there. But then something obviously goes wrong. Some of the items that they've got down there turns on him in some way. So that seems like a exciting story. And I am on a bit of a Yanto mood at the moment. I've really enjoyed him in The Grey Mare, which me and Ben both reviewed back in December, just before Christmas. We sat down, had a cozy hot chocolate stream, I suppose, and talked about that one. And also in the recent Torchwood One Nightmares set, which I picked up, I really enjoyed having Yanto there. So I'm tempted to continue that Yanto craze, I suppose, and see if this one delivers on that. Meanwhile, we have Tosh back again. She was in last month's War Chest, and now here she is for Suckers, where she is being sent to a psychiatric hospital. And she believes that there are aliens overrunning it, but everyone else thinks she's mad. So I wonder which of the two is true. But yeah, that's quite a creepy cover going on there, really. Yeah, certainly gives you goosebumps, I suppose. And I feel like that's going to be quite a dark story, that one. But yeah, I'm probably less likely to pick that one up, though. Okay, it all comes down to how much money is going around at the time and whether or not I can afford to splash out that little bit extra. And welcome back, Ben. You've arrived just in time.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing with Torchwood for me. I'm like, there's so much going on. You've really got to be selective with the stuff now. So unless it's something what you really want, you've got to go for it.
You make a
Really,
sacrifice, really, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Payne Sideman also says, "Look, I'm trying to enjoy the Evelyn and Hex arc. I don't got time to listen to Demon Baby, the story, or the Green Death sequel. Though admittedly, I do want to listen to those Doctor Who Monster audios. Yeah, I suppose because they're more connected to Doctor Who. I mean, Green Life, isn't it? That's even got Joe in it, so you sort of feel maybe you can justify splashing out on those.
Those are the first Torchwood ones I listened to.
Yeah, Payne Sideman also says that cover for Suckers is hella sus. Yes. That is certainly one way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it fits Waterworld well as well.
Yeah, well. Unfortunately, we can't quite segue there yet because we've got Gallifrey first.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, is the cover there? I'm just gonna.
You'll have to go on the product page.
Okay,
they didn't do a news article for it. But yeah, so they dropped the Vortex magazine, and because this was originally set for July until about the last minute, they swapped it round with Classic Doctors New Monsters.
I've done it wrong.
So it's now in August. It's still there in the preview for Vortex, and so they gave us the cover.
If it will load, that'd be nice.
I think it's in that white chunk. There it is.
There we go. I mean, it matches the cover.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, you're not a big fan of this cover, are you? In the White Void.
I mean, maybe that's why I'm not a fan of it, because it just goes against the grain of it. But I like the Void. I think that's a really cool, quite a striking thing. That sort of the streaks of space and time.
I think it's nice to not have characters in a line. It's a more interesting.
That is true.
Layout.
It's not a go-to Big Finish cover format, so yeah, I'll give it that.
Yeah. You got some interesting Daleks on the side there as well. Like you've got a black one with the silver spheres and midsection.
That'd be a B&M figure, surely.
Yeah, there's like one based on the other Gallifrey, didn't they?
Yeah, so I'm
Gallifrey 6.
sure one of these will be in a B&M coming near you.
Yeah. I mean, all the characters
Veclin?
are in. Yeah, Veclin, first time on the cover, despite being in many audios since her debut in 2015, Only the Monstrous.
It's nice to see Richard Armitage continue.
Yeah, because he wasn't confirmed up until the last minute.
So that's nice.
Yeah. Unless maybe I missed something, but yeah, I'm pretty sure this was confirmation that he was coming back. Yeah. I think I saw someone out on Twitter say Hot Rassilon is back.
But I've not experienced Hot Rassilon, so I can't comment on it.
He's pretty good in the role.
Yeah, because you got Time War 4, yeah.
Yeah, he suits like that reborn warrior feel, like young again.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I think this covers increased my excitement for the set.
Oh, so you're going to commit then?
Yeah, I might as well at this point. I've got all the other Gallifrey Time War stuff, so might as well carry on here. And I mean, changing of the guard as well, so to speak. We've got a new producer in. I think Heather Challens is on this one.
Yeah, and she's doing a great job with the third Doctor. So
yeah, I look forward to see what she can do with Gallifrey. Well, it was Scott Hancock before, though, I believe. And we usually love his stuff, like the War Master and such. But yeah, for some, Gallifrey just didn't seem to be his thing for a while.
I think it was very much Gary Russell's baby, and Gary Russell was like, "I don't want to do it anymore. You do it." So I feel like his hands are sort of tied to it in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. No, I suppose brand new era in a way. It's just hopefully not going to feel like a repeat of the old.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're trying to get a lot of their more recent original characters in there. Also the general, not original to Big Finish, but they seem to be trying to mix it up a bit more now.
I mean, I'm glad Ken Bones' general's getting a bit of love.
I think
like
he'll
him.
work quite well alongside Leela as well. He debuted in Time War 4, the 8th Doctor Time War 4, not Gallifrey Time War 4, didn't he?
Yeah.
For Big Finish. And then he's come back in the recent
War Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've also got what's the name?
Illustra?
Illustra, yeah, but an earlier incarnation of Illustra. They finally found a way around the sad passing of Jacqueline Pierce, because she was very much there as this key player in the Time War. We sort of had her right at the end of the Time War stuff with the War Doctor John Hurt when he was doing them, and then there was she was in the first 2 8th Doctor ones, but then sadly passed, and so then you're also left with this awkward gap where you have this key figure who's there at the start of the Time War, there towards the end of the Time War, but we can't quite include her in all these stories in between.
Yeah.
And so now they found a way around that by using an earlier incarnation of her, brought back through the Matrix. And she's sort of the one on Gallifrey. She's the one in the war room running things, while her future self is out there on the front lines. And so apparently that's Rassilon's way of having a hold over her.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, Greg Links. I'm afraid you've just missed the Torchwood chat. We had a quick discussion about the new covers and new stories. I suppose Waterworlds now. There's no way to segue.
Yeah.
I should have brought up Suckers again, since Greg Links has mentioned Torchwood.
You had your chance.
It's gone now. Slipped through our fingers.
He's trying. He's pulling.
He's trying
to pull the fish in, but it ain't happening.
No.
Trying to reel it in.
Try and have a really good time.
Well, I hope everyone's having a really good time.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very sorry, Greg. I mean, you can rewind. You can listen to us talk about it. Well, mainly me. Ben went to put the ducks away.
Yeah. You get a little bit of me talking about torture. It's fine.
Yeah, he cuts in at the end.
Waterworlds, the relaunch for the Sixth Doctor Adventures.
Yeah, which feels weird because we've had a lot of Colin this year already. Anyway,
And Mel.
Yeah, and Mel.
Paladin, Mind of the
You have a lot
Holy
of Mel every year.
Well, practically every day. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying a bit of a Mel break at the minute because she's off in London, so I'm like, okay, I can indulge in Doctor Who.
We could talk about Bonnie Langford instead.
Yeah, who she has a hatred for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is our first introduction to Hebe. Like, we first heard about her back in September last year. So we've been waiting a little while to be properly introduced to Hebe, the marine biologist.
And I'm just going to say, I think she's the standout of the set.
She really is. I think it's nice that the first set was really built around her as well as a character. I think that's the advantage of these being two-parters, is they focus a lot more on the characters.
Yeah, I think the stories integrate her incredibly well.
Yeah, they do. Having her be a marine biologist and then having this fascination with this fishy alien species in the second story suits her really well. But and then I think it also, well, we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves there. Tied to the Moon. But yeah, it also plays quite nicely into her characters in other way, such as her disability. Yeah, she is a wonderful character.
I feel like I was a bit harsh to judge Hebe in the sense that when it was announced, it was like, and she's gonna be with Colin, and you're like, oh, Colin gets all the new companions.
Yeah, it's yet another new companion for Colin.
But there's just something about this TARDIS team what just clicks incredibly well with Hebe and Melanie Mel. It's great, you know.
There's like a passing of the torch moment as well, isn't there, for Hebe? Which I think makes her work for the Sixth Doctor.
Yeah, I think that's the best way I'd describe the Rotting Deep. It's looking at the past, but also looking at the going forward with it, really. It's a celebration of Big Finish Sixth Doctor in a way. Like you say, it's the sort of passing of the torch.
Yeah, we can't quite say who passes the torch, but it's
very really lovely.
Done.
It's really
it's a
lovely.
nice little tribute. Yeah, I suppose the Rotting Deep itself, more of a horror story in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah, not the horror story I was expecting. I was expecting sort of like the Gulf level of claustrophobic isolation, which you get a little bit, but it doesn't have that oozing atmosphere like the Gulf has.
I think it's wonderfully written as a two-parter, though. This is by Jacqueline Rayner, who is also the producer. She is the one who birthed Hebe, I suppose, and very much is the captain of this new era for the Sixth Doctor. She's charting his course through the water worlds. And so with this first story, it's very quick, throws you right in there, but it also introduces you to all the characters you need to know and paints a very clear picture of who each one is.
Yeah.
I think they're all very distinctive, all stand out amongst each other. There's no like, oh, who was it who said that? I think it helps that a lot of them have different accents as well. Like, it's a more international crew. And so, yeah, I think some of them grate a bit. They may be a bit annoying at first.
The Aussie grates on me.
Yeah. I think it's intentional, though.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily meant to really like anyone apart from Hebe.
I mean, I really vibed with the Scottish chef.
Yeah, Ancient Mariner.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
he was wonderful.
I was a bit gutted when he got pegged off.
Picked off or pecked off?
Well, both really in this case.
yeah, there's some. I mean, I'm not a big fan of seagulls or gulls, I should say. No such thing as a seagull.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that played into the horror in the story for me, I suppose.
I guess it's a bit like
Yeah.
Alan Hitchcock's like Birds, isn't it?
Yeah,
In a
there's
way.
always something a bit wrong with them.
Yeah. I mean, one got caught in Tesco's for like stealing 300 quid worth of like food. So yeah, they're evil.
Yeah, they're shifty. Yeah,
They're shifty birds.
I mean, one stole a croissant from me when I was younger on the beach. Just flew right past my head, nabbed it out of my hand. So I never liked him since that.
That just seems very middle class.
This was in Florida, so
Well, okay.
There
Well,
we
in
go.
Florida, there we go.
yeah, in Florida.
You're making it sound even better for yourself.
Peyton Simon says, I thought Hebe was a cool companion, very no nonsense, straight to the point. Cool to have a wheelchair user on board the TARDIS. Yeah. I mean, that's very much one of the points they've been making, isn't it? The TARDIS is wheelchair accessible, isn't it?
Yeah, because in like the second story, like the TARDIS has got ramps and everything, because the TARDIS likes Hebe.
Yeah, it's like this nice idea that the TARDIS does adjust itself to its occupants.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg Link says, I thought that Hebe was just a bit rude for no apparent reason, and it annoyed me. Payne Subman replies with, I think her rudeness is implied to come from basically feeling patronized due to being in a wheelchair. I don't know. I think it works well within her character, not too different from Lucy, Tegan, or Donna. Yeah, I think there is this unfortunate trend in media where if a woman is strong and outspoken, she's being obnoxious and rude. Whereas if a man is strong and outspoken, he is being controlling and like taking command of the situation. And I mean, I think it's something that Jodie has been criticized for a lot, where if she does something that a lot of her male counterparts would have done, she'd be seen as a bit bitchy for it, which is an unfair criticism and is something that women face, not just in media, but in real life as well.
I think with Hebe, though, it works because, like Payne Simon says, that if you've been patronized all your life, you'd naturally be on guard and be quite uptight. So I think that that's maybe like a self-defense and coping mechanism. So I think, people handle things differently. I think maybe that's just the way Hebe deals with life in a way because of
I mean,
situation.
she does have that nice scene with the Sixth Doctor towards the end where he's like asking her to take her guard down for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can very much see that with her character, and you can understand why she is the way she is. I think also it adds to her charm in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I feel like as the box set progresses, she becomes more looser.
Yeah, she does.
She's a very different character in Maelstrom than what she is in Rotting Deep.
Yeah, and like we said, with the Tides of the Moon, there is a part where that's flipped back on her.
Yeah.
And she sort of has to take a moment to examine herself, really. But I think she's got a very strong start here. Greg Link says, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll warm up to her, but at the moment I feel that she's a little too uptight. Yeah, I suppose that's sometimes new companions do take a while to warm up to. And I think certainly there were some moments with me where I felt, are they maybe taking this a bit too far? Like I think there's a scene between her and Mel on the lift. I think that one maybe rubbed me up the wrong way a little bit. For the most part, I can see what they're going for. And, you can see it from her point of view why she is like this, really. Yeah, I suppose Rotting Deep itself, I think it does sort of fall apart a bit towards the end.
Yeah, I think
it's
I
building,
want to say,
and then it's damn squib, isn't it? It's sort of...
I want to say that's kind of like a common thing throughout the other two stories for me. For the other two, maybe Tides of the Moon feels a little bit more well earned in the ending. It doesn't feel as sudden.
Yeah, perhaps.
But I think Rotting Deep and Maelstrom, I feel like they just seem to fizzle out by the end of it.
Yeah, Rotting Deep, I was very much expecting like something after that, some other sort. It doesn't have quite that denouement, that climax. It feels like you build to what you expect to be the penultimate climax. You think there's going to be something more after that, but then it's all sort of solved quickly off screen in a way.
It's like, yeah, let Unit wrap it up, you know.
Yeah.
I guess it's a bit Ambassador of Death in a way. If it's just like there's still a bit of mopping up, but the Doc's like, I'm out of here now.
I mean, in a way, it's makes sense for Hebe to be in the center of that climax, which she is. But at the same time, it just does feel like you're expecting something more, and you don't really get anything else. But yeah, that's what I rate it for being character centric, but it just didn't quite work for me.
Yeah.
Quickly says, "Yeah, her and Mel and Lift got me annoyed. I get you there. Yeah, that's probably the one moment that I wasn't annoyed with Hebe, but it's again going back to us seeing these less as actual people and more as characters.
Yeah.
Like devices in the plot. You think, is that going a bit too far? Could that have been written a bit better? But yeah. I think it's nice how she plays with Mel a lot. How Mel is, quite a bit more overly sensitive. She wears her heart on her sleeve a lot more compared to Hebe. And so they make a nice contrast there. But often Hebe will try and catch her out with things, and Mel will be like, "Oh, Hebe, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it like that." And Hebe's just like, "I'm fine with it, you numpty."
I think you definitely get that in the second story because it's very much her and Mel, isn't it? Really,
Yeah, their
especially in the
hair.
first episode.
Yeah, and it's nice that they're companions who don't necessarily get along at first. Like they get along well enough in the Rotting Deep, but Mel's not necessarily ready at the end for her to have another traveling partner in a way. Like she's sort of expected to leave just her and the Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now she's got this other crewmate on board who she does like, but she's got to like grow used to a bit more. And so there's a nice, almost sisterly bond between them, isn't there? Where they do
But maybe
struggle
that's
to get along.
maybe that's just mirroring the Sixth Doctor's character because you're not meant to like him straight away. But as it progresses, you begin to like and warm to her. And I think maybe that's Hebe.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that could be a good little comparison there with the two of them. Yeah, I think it's nice how Mel and Hebe do end up bonding in the second story. But should we give Rotting Deep a rating? I think
Yeah, let's give it a rating.
Yeah. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10.
I'll agree with an 8.
I think the first part is the best of this set.
I think you can get that for free as well, can't you?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you don't need to pick up the rest of it.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Maybe.
But I think yeah,
it's good to have for the characters, especially because they are going to be going on into the next box set at the very least. And so hopefully there's some higher quality stories in that one that makes this one worthwhile. But at the moment, it's similar to Stranded. I'm more there for the characters than the plot at this point.
Yeah. I think for me, what made Rotting Deep was the little nod back to the past. I think that's what made me go, you know what? I can see this being a bright, shining new era for the Sixth Doctor.
Yeah. For me, it was very much the atmosphere throughout, really, especially part one. And like we said, the colourful characters, the strong writing from Jacqueline Rayner, how she's able to set up all these different characters so distinctively and give a lot of characters a lot of good moments within it. But yeah, it just feels like it didn't quite come to the conclusion that it should have done. So yeah, 8 out of 10.
Not as atmospheric as like a horror Fang Rock, but similar vibe to it.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, and then we go off to the moon now, back when it was an ocean.
Yeah, no riding seahorses in this.
No. Because, I mean, water was found on the moon recently, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so that's sort of, I believe it was theorized before that though, and then actually the discovery of it came out while they were working on this story, and so they
Perfect
almost felt
timing.
validated with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one, really, because it's sort of like disaster, but not disaster. If that makes it's sort of Fires of Pompeii, but without the historical context of it, really.
Yeah, like there's quite a few different things going on, isn't there? You've got like the bigger, wider natural disaster of it.
Like the tremors and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
earthquakes.
but then you've also got the monsters
With
roaming around.
She-Ra.
Yeah.
I found it quite interesting that people have pointed this out, and I think that it's petty, but yeah, people were complaining, why is it not called like moonquakes? Why do we call it earthquake when it's on the moon? I noticed people complaining about
That's
that.
a interesting point.
I get the point, it's petty, but it's a little detail.
But then why would because these are aliens, not even from the moon, they're like visiting.
Yeah,
So why would they call it
I guess it's just to make it simple. Maybe it's for TARDIS translation thing.
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah,
It's just simplifying it to that, something we know. Because I mean, yeah, if there's like an earthquake on Mars or something, we wouldn't call it a Mars quake.
that sounds like a dodgy chocolate bar.
Yeah.
That's
what happens when you drop your Mars bar.
An absolute disaster. Yeah, we've had Mars planet, so we'll get a Mars quake next.
But the story felt very Beast Below to me. I think I mentioned that to you before.
Yes,
It's got very much similar vibe to it, where it's much more about the characters. It's very much about Hebe exploring her first, not quite alien world, alien moon, or not even alien moon, her own moon, but a different. She's not on Earth.
She's
gone somewhere else.
For me, I feel like it's a very comic book story.
Yeah, I can see that.
I feel like it lends itself more as a comic than an audio.
Yeah, I think it's got some interesting mysteries throughout it.
Yeah, like the mystery is great because there's a war happening, but where are the bodies? Who are they fighting for? Who's this sort of She-Ra? Because you get the people going in these weird trances, trances like hiding and that sort of thing, and this weird sort of teeth creatures.
Yeah, some interesting political intrigue as well. I liked all the stuff in the lighthouse with the Sixth Doctor as these Bond, because while Mel and Hebe, like we mentioned, are off on their own doing their own thing, the Sixth Doctor meets, I can't remember the character's name. She's like this
Helios, isn't it?
Helios, yeah.
Yeah,
and she's like this astrologer and stuff. And yeah, it's nice seeing their bond over things where they're both scientists in this society where science isn't really in the forefront anymore.
Yeah, because you have like the Clutch father, like just not having any of the nonsense that nobody can visit the city because you get Hebe and Mel paired with Walk, who I really like. He's quite an adorable character.
Yeah, he's quite a sweet character. A sweet hunk, isn't
he? Yeah.
There's what they go, fish hunk boy.
Which Hebe takes a shine to. It's I think that's such an interesting way of exploring like a first encounter.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because Hebe's a more modern companion. She is much more taken with this male alien fish, whereas in classic Who, classic companions are much less into the romance, at least on screen.
Well, you get a romance in classic series, but it doesn't, and it just doesn't feel earned.
Yeah. Whereas this is something a bit more modern, and it works with this new companion is from more modern time. And so it's nice seeing that contrasted with Mel, as she's like, Hebe, what are you doing? She's very,
and like you said earlier,
at how open Hebe is about her attraction, I suppose.
But then it sort of relates quite nicely to how Hebe is with if people were touching her chair, how she would feel. Like it was sort of nice to sort of correlate it back to that.
Yeah, that worked very well. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like not much else in this story worked for me. It's just there again. Like I said, I'm enjoying the ride with the characters. I'm enjoying hearing them a bit more. But the story itself, I'm almost glad it was only 2 parts because I feel it could have been a really slow, dragged out 4-parter.
I mean, it's got some good twists and turns within it, I think.
Yeah, it does.
But like the reveal about the Doctor's coat, I really was like, oh, that's really clever. But other than that, yeah.
It's also kind of an on a damp squib of an ending. It builds up and then it peters out again.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a 2-part format, but I feel like this one feels more rounded compared to the other 2. I feel
maybe. Would you say it's your favorite of the set then, or?
I wouldn't say it's my favorite of the set. I think it's same level as Rotting Deep for me.
That's bad. I'd say it's a bit below Rotting Deep. I'd probably give this one a 6.
I'd stick with an 8.
Fair enough.
I'd stick with an 8.
Right. So now we're taking a bit of a sidestep because the interlude that they released to go alongside this one, Dream Nexus, takes place in between the third and final story of the set. I don't think the cover's actually on the website.
I was just seeing if there was like a little thing, but
yeah, I think they only posted it on social media and then
I could try and find it in the news.
Yeah, that'd probably be good. You can't even get it as a it's there on the download like as the file image, but there isn't a separate image.
There we go.
Yeah, there it is. But yeah, so these interludes are sort of like the replacements for the subscriber short trips, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have these as little bonuses with the 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctor box sets. And this one is written by Adam Christopher, who is a novel writer from Australia, I believe. No, New Zealand, I think. Or he might be British born, lives in New Zealand, or New Zealand born, lives in Britain.
Yeah.
It's something like that. I'm very sorry to Adam Christopher. I've just butchered your life story there. But yeah, and read by Toby Haydock, who you said is from the Shire, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Shropshire, not
the Shropshire, not just the Shire.
He's not the one next to Mordor.
No, I think he's Ludlow. Yeah.
He does a pretty good 6th Doctor in this, I will say.
He's coming for your job, Colin.
He captures that character well. But basically, the story is set on an alien planet, which is one big mushroom, pretty much, or one big fungi, because they're all like an interconnected network. And meanwhile, there is an Earth expedition there trying to work out something strange has happened to the Earth Empire. There are these people called dreamers who are like trapped in a perpetual dream, and they're trying to use what they can learn from the fungi to wake the dreamers, really, is their aim. But something from the fungi is infecting them at the same time. And so it's all like your typical mind control story, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a little hour-long short story, it works quite well because it's not short trip length. You feel like you're not going through the idea too quickly, but at the same time, it's not a full novel where you feel like you're dragging it out more than it maybe needs to be. I think this story does fit this length. But yeah, it's just there, really. It's just a fine little way to spend an hour. I think it works well as a novel because there's quite a few segments within like the more dreamy aspects of it that wouldn't really have suited just being audio. I think it does need that description, so I think it justifies itself there. But at the end of the day, it's just a free little bonus you get with it. You can't be too upset with it. But at the same time, I don't think you're missing out on much by not listening to it. Maybe it works in the sense that it breaks up the water worldness of it. Like this one that is set on a planet that isn't a massive ocean. And so in that sense, it breaks that up nicely and you don't feel that fatigue as much. Other than that, character-wise, there's like it ends up being a few too many characters after a while. Like they're all together, and so Toby Haydock's doing them all, and you don't necessarily lose track as to who's who, because there's quite a few like similar scientist characters, and they're not really distinct enough in their personality. Maybe that's something that could have worked better if it was a full novel. You could have given them more backstory, more exploration, and such. But yeah, end of the day, what this feels like to me is this is like a new series novelization bonus that comes out alongside when the series starts up. I think it works quite nicely as that, where Waterworlds is the main series. That's sort of, whereas this is your little novel tie-in that you get. And so I like it in that sense. I think it's great that this one does incorporate Hebe into it, whereas the other two interludes seem to be much more separate from what's going on in the box sets.
Yeah, because the fifth Doctor was Turlo and Chameleon. Then the seventh Doctor's just Ace, where Silver and Ice is Seven and Mel. So yeah, it seems to fit better.
Yeah, it works nicely within that ongoing storyline, but it's not an essential part of it in the sense that the new series novels weren't an essential part of what's going on TV. It's just like a nice little bonus to get in there. I'd say 7 out of 10.
Okay, so it's still same level type stuff then, really.
Yeah, pretty much. It's no Scourge to Cybermen. I think that's like the bar we hold all audiobooks to now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's wrong to compare it because like that's just on another scale that audio novel. Even Terror of the Master as well, actually.
That's true. Yeah, that's one that should maybe revisit because that's a lot shorter. That's a bit easier to go back to.
Yeah, maybe we should do like a little audio novel one, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
A little celebrate. I mean, don't think I'll revisit Scourge anytime soon for it, you know, because that's 7 hours.
To, but it's just very long. Yeah, that's
it's the time for it, you know. I love it a bit, but 7 hours. Still the best Cyberman story in any Doctor Who media, like hands down.
Oh, I'd agree. It's a very strong statement, but it's a story which has earned that title. So back to Waterworlds now, the final story, Maelstrom by Jonathan Morris.
Yeah, right. We don't get much of over recent years. He's sort of gone off the radar, and then this year we've got Maelstrom and the Emancipation of the Daleks.
Yeah, he used to be like a mainstay alongside John Dorney, really, didn't he?
Yeah.
Faded a bit more into the background, I suppose.
He's a good, dependable writer. I would say. I mean, he's had a few misses recent years, like Lords of Terror, Time War 2.
Yeah, he's also had quite a few strong hits as well, such as in Fifth Doctor box set. I think he did. Yeah, he did the first one, didn't he? Psychodrome.
Yes, yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah, that's one of his best. And Day of the Comet and Chase the Night, brilliant ones from him. But as for this story, it feels more like him writing on autopilot.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, 2-parter again, so like quite quick. You've got this interesting concept with the idea of this world's now flooded and the survivors, there's more of them than there are actual bodies for them to live in. So they're all uploaded into like a digital database, and then they download into the bodies and like take shifts doing work to survive.
It sort of reminds me what he did with Genetics of the Daleks, where they'll have a select number of crew in cryo, they'd come out, do their bit, go back in cryo, and another team would take over.
Yeah. I think, did he also do the River Song one as well?
Yeah, from Series 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite a similar concept. But yeah, I think so. There's a lot of interesting concept there that's not much is really done with.
I think for me, it feels like a story you've probably heard before. Like you could say that about any Doctor Who story, but I feel like it has elements. It feels a bit mind warpy, so it fits Colin's era in that way.
Yeah. It's sort of... You also, like we have said, you're sort of sick of Waterworlds by this point.
Yeah, I think this is when I hit the fatigue, because obviously we've done a little extra water story, 1 mile down 10th Doctor, again, a water-based story. So I guess that hasn't really helped us, but you kind of like, yeah, maybe it's not good just to self-contain it to one premise of like this ocean type stories.
Yeah.
You know why
Maybe
they've done it for Hebe, but just by this point it just rubs you up the wrong way.
Yeah, it feels like maybe there could have been a more interesting way to tell another one, because this just feels a bit too similar to the second story. That has a bit more of a fairy tale aspect to it,
Yeah.
admittedly, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, it just isn't unique enough from that in terms of the world that it's set on. I think maybe they could have got a bit more storms on this one, maybe.
I mean, I really like the start of it when they're just getting out the TARDIS and like there's thunderstorms and all that. It's all good.
Yeah. I mean, again, yeah, it's the characters, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when you're spending time with them, that's just fun because they are a great trio and they do really work well together.
It's just what the flood was happening with this one, you know? Yeah.
But
it's all right.
I just can't really think of too much to say about it, which is a shame. It's just there in the box.
It shows Hebe's knowledge of marine species and stuff. You know, it's cool that they utilize it. It gives Bonnie Langford something different to do, but again, you're kind of like, I've heard this.
Yeah.
And you're kind of waiting for the, hang on, that's not right.
Yeah. It has almost a new series climax, though, the Sixth Doctor climbing up the mast.
Very like David Tennant in the Dalek
Evolution of the Daleks.
3, yeah.
Yeah, it does have that sort of vibe to it.
I guess Vampires of Venice, when you get Matt Smith climbing in the rainstorm to stop the Saturnines.
Yeah, it just doesn't really grab me, this one. I just felt like I was listening to it but not engaging with it, which is a shame.
Yeah, you're there, but you're not quite there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're still like, you're checking your watch every once, or checking the time to see how much you got left of it, which is unfortunate. Yeah, I'd probably say it's more of a 6 out of 10 again, maybe a 7.
I'd give it a 7.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 7. It's all right.
Yeah, there's moments that I like, and there's a lot of great concepts in there, but yeah, just actually listening to it, I don't think it does enough for me. So yeah, Waterworlds itself, it's hard to say. It's, again, it depends what comes next, really, doesn't it?
Because it does end on a cliffhanger.
I think if the next set is an absolute banger, then it will be worth getting this one so that you get to know the characters beforehand before you go into that. But
I think that is a trend with recent Big Finish, but it is very much character drama, like Stranded, Dalek Universe. And again, both of those series we praised, but it's like it's greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'd say Waterworlds is very much, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And again, and that does really just come down to the characters, how strong they are written and acted.
Yeah, I guess we just have to wait and see if it's on our top 5 when we do our little year so far of Big Finish.
Yeah, we've just got one more month of releases to go before we dive into that and give you our look at how 2022's been so far with the relaunch.
Yeah, and how we're vibing with it.
Yeah, I suppose that's it for Waterworlds.
Yeah, not else we can say. We've done Back to Earth, we've gone to the moon, and yeah, we've done it all.
Yeah, I mean, if you're someone who's on the tighter budget, you only pick up like 1 or 2 things a month. You're not sure about last month's releases yet because they've not got up to pre-order price yet.
Yeah.
I'd say if you can only choose between Sixth Doctor or Back to Earth is the one to go for.
Oh yeah, I think that's an easy choice, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Just because station to station, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be hard to top that one.
Yeah, worth it for that alone.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so now we're just waiting for news on what's next with the Sixth Doctor, because, like you say, we have a cliffhanger at the end.
It's a shame we didn't get that news so we could talk about both Ninth Doctor and Sixth Doctor news, but hey, it's fine.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, we sort of got our hopes up a bit, didn't we, when we saw Ninth Doctor news? We think, oh, maybe we can get Sixth
Yeah.
Doctor news now, and it'll work out very nicely for us this Friday. But no, I suppose the Jubilee sort of scuppered that, hasn't it, as well? Because we've had no news the last 2 days.
Good Sixth Doctor story.
Parasite in chief and a idiot hat.
Celebration of Eccleston.
Yeah,
we're celebrating the other king. Do you have any like little theories about what's coming after Waterworlds? Where do you think they're heading?
I think we've got to be heading back to like modern day. And I think I feel like we're going to get a 4-parter in the next set. I think after you've had a cliffhanger like that, it'll be weird for that to just relate to a 2-parter at the start of the story.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So I think it'd be nice to have a bigger story now. Like, we've had these more character-focused 2-parters to really get to know them. Now I'm more interested in having a 4 or even 6-parter with them. Maybe get Unit involved as well if we go modern day.
I feel like they've mentioned Unit, so it wouldn't feel out of place. And I kind of wanted a little bit of Unit in Rotting Deep.
I wonder which characters would we involve though. I suppose because they haven't given like an exact date from when Hebe's from. I mean, she saw. I don't know. Maybe a bit after that.
I don't know.
Because she saw The Little Mermaid in cinemas.
We're going deep.
Yeah, we're going deep. And that was 1989, I believe.
Okay.
Yep, 1989.
You little
so
Disney
I think she
fan.
said she was like about. I looked this up before because when it was mentioned in the story, I thought, oh, so when's she from? Yeah, and I think she mentioned she was 8 when she saw it.
Okay.
So she's born in 81, and I think she's probably about late 20s, early 30s now.
Oh, he's going full
detective. So yeah, I'd probably. It's probably around RTD era Unit, I guess.
Okay.
I don't quite think she's from modern day.
No.
Yeah, like they're never really given exact date. I mean, how old is Ruth Madeley herself? So she's like 34 to 35.
Okay.
So she was born in 87. So yeah, shifted back a couple of. So yeah, maybe like the mid 2015 maybe.
Kate Stewart. Kate Stewart maybe.
Who knows?
Fighting some Tarans.
Yeah, I think it won't be long now before we get that news. Definitely before the end of this month, we'll have that and a cover as well, I guess, because it'll be in the next Vortex. Hello, Casey Miller. Thank you for joining it.
Hello.
Yes, yeah, I think we're not far off wrapping up now.
Yeah, we've done our big old talk.
Yeah, we've given our thoughts on Back to Earth, Waterworlds, and that little interlude, the Dream Nexus in the middle there.
Nice little bonus.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Unit, they've been filming as well, haven't they? Second Rusty Davis era.
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet in terms of like the filming compared to like the past 2 weeks when they were in Camden.
Yeah,
but they finished the first special.
Yeah, I wonder if this maybe is for the first special still. I think this could just be like second Unit stuff, like picking up some little shots of Unit to fill in the gaps, the troops barking and things. But yeah, from what we've seen from people taking pictures and videos, it does just seem to be Unit jeeps and lorries and trucks and stuff. So yeah, definitely a good presence from Unit coming up.
Well, yeah, I assume they're a part of this centenary.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so they're coming back in force. I mean,
don't
we know.
go on.
Yeah, we know Kate Stewart is going to be in the centenary, but we don't know if she's going to be back beyond that.
Yeah, she might become Cyber Kate Stewart.
Cyber Kate Stewart, yeah, alongside. Did you see there was a ridiculous leak that said that?
What, really?
Yeah,
I've not
there
seen
was.
this. They've seen this leak actually.
I mean, it is a leak that is pretty much confirmed to be fake, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's just hilarious.
Go on, indulge.
I cannot remember any of the other details from it. I just remember that being one of them. I think there's definitely a few things like towards the end that give it away as obviously fake.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But I
yeah,
think
when you see all that new series unit stuff, you could just hear the theme just starts playing in your head.
I wonder if that will be a part of it, whether Murray is back, because I feel like
Yeah.
Russell's getting the band back together because Julie Gardner, Phil Collinson's there. You know,
it'd almost feel wrong if Murray wasn't back, but at the same time, he's like one of the ones I could feel we could do without the least, just because we had him throughout the Moffat era too.
But then I've heard like Sagan Akinola and Murray Gold are collabing, which feels
really wow.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is. You know, take it with a pinch of salt, but you know, everything's possible now. I think.
Yeah, don't dismiss any theories unless it's the one about Kate Stewart being turned to a Cyberman.
I mean, in the trailer, she's being manhandled.
Yeah.
You know,
who knows?
We just have to wait and see. Yeah, we've still got the same TV special to go before we can focus on RTD2.
Yeah, but if it still hasn't quite sunk in that all that's happening though, that all that stuff we saw with Tennant and Catherine Tate before. But we've got to find out some more soon as well, because that can't be the last time they're going to be filming out in the open. There's going to be like other specials as well. And
just have to wait and see what Sunday brings, to be honest.
Yeah, Sunday's today, isn't it?
Yeah, because I like how last Sunday Russell played with us all, like took a photo of like the Doctor Who annual like post in the background with the first Doctor. It's like you've strategically put that annual there to make people go, oh, here we go, guys, and we're just clowns for believing that we're gonna get something.
Yeah, but I think he's given us enough that he can have a bit of fun with us.
Yeah, just it's just us being greedy, wanting a bit more.
Yeah,
and I'm sure if there is anything big coming out, we'll discuss it on stream or whatever.
Yeah, might do like an impromptu one again if it warrants it.
If there's something big, like I don't know, Frobisher coming back. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah,
we'll have to wait and see. Anything's possible.
That's one of the things that you could say. I mean, I don't think they will, but you could save that as a surprise for in the story because it would be a CGI penguin.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not going to have an actual penguin on.
To be fair, I can see Frobisher working. They can sell some merchandise with Frobisher.
Yeah. But Yoda all over again. New trend.
Exactly. They've got Grogu. We can have Frobisher. It works. It's fine. It's grand.
What a way to end that is.
What a way to end. I guess that's us done for tonight then.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been fun talking about some of the latest releases.
As always.
Yeah, it's been fun. Next week, who knows what we're doing? We haven't decided.
Yeah, we probably should have had a quick talk about that beforehand, actually.
Yeah, it all depends what Big Finish release.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how we go off our little schedule, whether it's the Weeping Angel tier list that's on the cards, Out of Time sort of look back and review. That's another one.
Yeah.
But yeah, plenty more stuff to come. Yeah. I'm sure we'll be back on Friday to talk all things Doctor Who related, whatever that will be. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for your comments. And yeah, if you're new around here, please do consider liking and subscribing because, like we say, we're here every Friday to talk all things Doctor Who and Big Finish and just have a good old chinwag, really.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.
Take care, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.